Hey, what we're going to do today is work on the AR. I've got this M-forgery type, full-length barrel because of the law, but then it's got the little short carbine handguards. I never really liked it, but that was what I got when I got the gun, and I like the full size, so I'm going to put a free float rail on it. And this is a 15-inch rail, so it's going to come out almost to the flash hider. All right, got a little nut to put on the end so it looks finished. And in order to do that, I have to take my front sight rail off, the front sight post off, because it won't fit in the rail. So I have a low profile gas block. Okay, so I have taken the lower receiver off, taken the bolt out. I don't have any ammunition in the room, and I've laid my tools out. I've got all the parts I need. I have some Allen keys, got a hammer. I have a upper receiver vise block so that when I put it in the vise, I don't mess my upper up. I have a block here to knock the pins out, some pins, some punches, and then an armorer's tool. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is unscrew my flash hider. And it probably needs to go in the vise block, but before I ever started, I did that and loosened it up. So really, you could do this with an adjustable wrench, but I just put it on the barrel and it screws right off because I'd already popped it off. I'm going to unscrew it, take the flash hider off, take the washer, and I'm going to keep that. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do is take out these pins. Okay? And one side is bigger than the other. They're tapered pins. This side is smaller. So it sits in the block, and this block is pretty nice because it's got a side to put the pins in, pins out, right? And if you just use the block the way it is, it lines you up for the sides. And I ought to use a tapered punch, a cut punch, so as not to wall these pins out. But number one, I don't have one, and number two, I'm not planning on reusing this. So I'm going to link to this pin set in the article that accompanies this because it was sold on Amazon as an AR-15 pin punch kit. It is junk. I bent several of them up, and you really need a cupped punch for this. Okay, so I knocked that out. I've got my pins here, right? And then what I need to do is push out. Those two pins hold the sight block in place. That pin holds the gas tube in place. So take my bent up punch. Alright, I ended up using a little finishing nail to knock that pin out. Alright, putting it on the vise block, hitting it, that loosened it up. This is factory in the parkerizing and such. The time has put it on there pretty freaking tight. Okay, but I got it loosened up. There we go. Alright. I'm going to keep those two pieces for another build later, maybe. Alright, next I have to put the gas block on. And see this little hole here? I have to make sure that the hole in the gas block right here matches up to it. And this hole's a little bigger, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but still. Alright, the trick that I hear about a lot of times is people taking like a business card and then marking So I got a little line here. I don't know if you can see it. And then same thing. I come into the top of my gas block. And I make a little mark here halfway through. Now in the gas block, you got this bend. You want to have the bend up so it comes down, and then you've got a hole. Gas goes in, as dirty as I'll get out, but there's a pinhole there, and that end is solid. That mates up with a roll pin right here. So you want to push it through, line it up till there's space, there's air, see the sunlight through there, and then you put a pin through it and pin it. Alright, so I've aligned my gas tube, right, so that the hole where in the gas tube that the gas from the barrel comes in is aligned down, and that the solid end piece with the hole through it for the roll pin lined up here. Then using some blocks to not mar up my gas block and a pair of needle nose pliers to hold it. That still ended up with needing one more hand than I readily had. Alright, but I got it all started. And I'm just going to tap it in. Once again, I wish I had the right kind of roll pins, or the right kind of punches, but you got to do with what you got, I guess. I'm going to use the same nail I pulled it out with just to knock it a little under flush. Alright. There's some set screws on here. Now that I got that on, it's back in the barrel vise, or the upper vise. Slide that on. Alright, it went on. It was a little tight, but it went on. Everything is lined up. My marks line up, so now it's just time to tighten the set screws. Some of them are pinned on, but this one has two set screws down here in the bottom. I'm going to screw my rail on.